12:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be starting the show. Welcome, everyone. This is the Rainbow Connection on the Beaver Network, where we have shows daily with progressives talking about Canadian politics. So I am Sean, and this is my co-host,
The Pasty Native.
Welcome,
Hello, everybody.
Welcome, everyone. So first, I would like to just play some music before we start the discussion. So here we go. You look like fun to me. You look a little like somebody I know. And I can tell your heart is fresh. I'll be in your head all weekend. Shivers and butterflies. I get the shivers when I look into your eyes. All right. So today we will be opening it up right away. If someone wants to come up and start talking about the Canadian election, we are going to discuss basically who you hope to win, what may be the worst case scenario for you, and so forth. I also thought maybe, I don't know if Pasty, if you want to take part, but I'm going to make a prediction, not psychic or anything, just what I think the seat production is going to be. Come, I guess we'll know everything the next day on the 29th of April. And I also want to just dive into a little bit about what happened in Hungary this week, as well as what happened in the UK. Two things happened in the UK that we'd like to discuss. And so first of all, just want to remind everyone that if you click down below, you can subscribe. I think it's the star. It's for less than $5 a month, and that way we go to help support us and the Beaver Network.
I want to make a comment to like what Rad Mike said in the comments. Yes, advanced voting started today. If you can manage to get out and vote, do not feel bad if you turn off our live and go vote.
Or you could, bring your earphones and listen to us while you're voting.
Yeah, that works too.
But so advanced polls start today. It goes all weekend, even Monday. I think they have polls. I know here where I am in Quebec, it's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
That's the way it is here in Ontario.
Yeah, and it's the best. I think it's the best way to go vote, because this way you don't have to wait in line. You don't have to deal with crowds or finding parking, or if you park. If you could walk there, I always recommend walking. It's good for the health. I mean, of course, if you're able to. What was I also going to say? Oh, yes. I want to just make a prediction about the seats, what I think what's going to happen. And then, like I said, we're going to talk about world events that affect us. I was also talking about, sorry, my head's all over the place at the moment. So yes, you can subscribe down below for less than $5 a month to help support us and the Beaver Network. Don't forget, you can click on the heart up on top to join our team, and tapping is clapping and sharing is caring. So if
the subscription gives you access to our Discord, where we have more in-depth conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's true. And you also get nice little stickers that you could use. I can't do it when I'm hosting. But there's like nice little cool stickers that you can place in the chat. So yeah.
These wonderful bad boys.
Exactly. Yeah, there's lots of beavers, maple leaves, and stars, and there's my favorite right now actually is the Canadian beaver against the American eagle, because let's be honest, as Prime Minister Carney said our relationship with the U.S. is over. We've broken up with them. They're packing their bags and leaving. Well, packing their bags, leaving. Yeah, and we could discuss that too, actually, because that's going to be ongoing, probably for the next 4 years, possibly 8 or more if Trump gets his way. Orange Cheesy Poof gets his way. I have to watch what we say, because supposedly the T word is not a good word on TikTok. All right. Can you join? Yeah, Ed, you can join. Hold on. There you are.
He joins.
All right. Hello,
Good
Ed.
morning.
Good morning. How's it
If I
going?
tend to interrupt, please let me know. I'm not too good at this.
Yeah, that's okay. That's not a problem. But yeah, so how's it going?
Good. What did you think of the debate last night?
I found it a little boring, to be honest.
Okay.
I enjoyed it more than the French debate, but I had a different mindset. For the French debate, I was trying to take a position of as best as I can. I'm not French Quebecer. I'm an Anglophone. But after, speaking with my friends and knowing how their minds are, I'm just trying to take that perspective and like looking into like how they would see it. In the English debate, what I was looking for was, I really enjoy zingers in a debate. Like Jack Layton back in the day, he had a really good zinger once. I think it was to Stephen Harper or something, and he said something about that's a hashtag fail or something. That was a good zinger. But that's what I really like. And there wasn't much zingers. Overall, I think that Carney stood his ground. I mean, he was attacked by all sides, he's the front runner. And so, I mean, that was expected. What else? I think Pierre was, I don't know. I just, every time Pierre smiles, I just throw up a little bit in my mouth, to be honest.
Found
And
him to be very dishonest last night. He was lying so much, eh?
yeah,
Like calling C69 anti-pipeline.
Yeah.
he's just
Like, it's
taking
not.
advantage of the fact that
Anti-pipeline
his,
bill.
sorry, what was that, Pasty?
Oh, the calling B69 bill C69 is not an anti-pipeline bill, and I hate the fact that he keeps saying that rhetoric. I know I made a drinking game out of what Pierre was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. And then another dishonest thing, he said that, Carney's assets were in, or no, just about his assets. He was lying about that too, eh?
Yeah. Well, he lied about a lot of things, I found. I was just afraid that, if he was Pinocchio, his nose would have been poking out the camera.
Yeah.
But I mean, he just takes advantage of the fact that his followers, I'm not going to call them supporters because they're really like followers, just don't read. Don't read a lot. I mean, they might read I don't know, like the Fox News, like title on the bottom, or they might read like Rebel News, like headlines or whatever. But they don't really read much more than that, to be honest. And the ones that do, I think, are just disingenuous on purpose. They know exactly what's going on. They know exactly that he's lying, but he just doesn't care, or they just don't care, which is unfortunate because the thing is that they're doing exactly what they claim liberals do or the NDP do. Like they lie and blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
It's pot calling the kettle black.
And then yesterday when he kept pushing this, he was an economic advisor for 5 years. Then he keeps calling it the Carney Trudeau Liberal government 10 years. His numbers don't jive. He just basically gets caught in line. And plus, he was an economic advisor. Just because he was advising Trudeau doesn't mean that Trudeau was always listening to him, right?
exactly.
He was an unofficial economic advisor.
Yeah. He wasn't the guy implementing the policies, so he could have said, "Hey, Justin, I don't want you to approve this, or I think you should approve this." And Justin would go, "Okay, I'll take your advice in consideration. I might do it, I might not do it," right?
Yeah.
Unless Pierre was actually sitting there and he heard Mark say, "Okay, I don't want you to put in the Northern Gateway," and then Justin went, "Okay, I won't put in the Northern Gateway," unless they have proof of something like that. It's all lies, basically. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And just like how Mark Carney advised the British Parliament not to go through with Brexit, they did anyways, and they're the ones who tanked their economy for it. Even though
And they
Pierre,
keep attacking Mark lately and blaming that on him, eh? But
Exactly.
he didn't want it to happen.
Yeah, and it
Brexit
just goes
wasn't
back
his
to-
fault.
He held up his hand.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he is the reason why we managed to avoid an economic crash in 2008.
Yeah. Yep. Yep,
But
that's true.
everybody seems to forget that.
Well, I don't think that's true, Pasty Native, because based on the polls, not everybody's forgot that. Carney's winning for a reason, right? It's either they listen and believe Pierre's rhetoric and lies, or they don't. And based on the polls, the majority don't. Would you agree?
I feel like there's still a fair amount of undecideds, which
Yeah.
sucks.
The last poll I saw, there was about 30% that said they were undecided.
Okay.
And typically, from what I was reading, they said typically the undeciders are either going to vote Liberal or NDP. Typically, like the majority of those people. So I mean, it's oh, thank you, my weird heart. Or here, there's my heart. Thank you. So yeah, so it's so yeah, it's. I want to say it is what it is, but what I'm trying to say is that
What are you, like your mom?
conservatives, just like the Republicans down south, just take advantage of the fact that their followers do not do research, or they do research by watching Andrew Tate on TikTok. Not TikTok. He's not on TikTok. Whatever.
Andrew Tate, yeah, on X or whatever, or Joe Rogan or something stupid, eh?
And actually, I just want to mention Beaver Network is now on YouTube. Just look up Beaver Politics. I think it's still under Beaver Politics, and you could watch
okay.
all of our shows going all the way back to. I mean, I think we're on like episode 100 or something, so it goes back a while.
So you just televise or you record these and put these on YouTube?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. I never thought of that. Yeah, so Pierre had another presser this morning. Guess what the topic was?
What?
The last liberal decade?
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, that was in there too. No, it was about plastic straws and packaging, plastic packaging. He was saying that he was calling it the woke ideology of the Liberal government, and they would kill so many jobs if we went ahead with, using, paper forks and as opposed to plastics. That's what his presser was about today.
You know what? I found at Costco they have these just not only just plastic glasses, but these plastic forks and knives or whatever that are made out of corn, and they are biodegradable. They're like within a month they're gone if they're in the ground, whatever. And it looks and feels just like plastic. So you know what? I mean, what about those jobs? If he reinstates the use of plastic packages, those jobs will be lost.
Yeah, but it'll be just like the oil industry to renewable energy. People will go from oil to renewable, just like with plastics. Then people will go to the companies that make the corn utensils or the other, like when we order takeout here in Calgary, even in Calgary now, most of our stuff is like that. It's not, what do you call it, styrofoam or anything anymore. It's stuff that can be recycled.
It's like a paper type of feeling kind of thing.
Yeah, and then I think the utensils, they're using bamboo. We bought some utensils at a store and they're bamboo now, eh?
Yeah.
And they work fine because people are going like, well, they fall apart. Well, how many times do you use them? You just use them once and then put them in the recycle bin, right? Just like paper straws. They work fine. How many times are you going to use a plastic straw, right?
It's like here there's boba tea places all over the place. The majority of them use this bamboo cup that looks and feels like plastic. Same with their straws, but they're made out of bamboo, so they're 100% safe for the environment.
Yeah. What's wrong with that? I feel good about it. I don't know what Pierre is just so against all this stuff that helps the environment, eh?
Yeah. I just want to
Yeah.
address a comment. Dave Daw, it wasn't Jim Flattery. Like he may have done a little bit, but Mark Carney's really the one who saved us. That's what Harper had said in the past. That's what other conservatives said in the past. So they're just changing their story right now to suit Pierre Poilievre.
Other members of the Bank of Canada also said it was thanks to Mark Carney.
Oh, you can't believe that we would support the Liberals after 9 years? You know what? Let's say
He's reading
the
comments.
Liberals did do what PP is saying he did, which they didn't. Even in that case, still wouldn't vote Conservative, because worst case scenario under the Liberals is still better than whatever Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives would give us now. So
Yeah, I'll vote in my best interest, and that's anything but conservative.
yeah.
In 2021, the Conservatives voted to keep conversion therapy legal.
Yep, and that's actually a good segue into, first of all, Dave, I don't know if you can notice, but we're the Rainbow Connection. So I identify as, well, to keep it simple for people who may not understand, I just identify as gay. Well, I am gay. And what happened, well, first of all, I don't know if you read the news, not just on the right side, but the UK has been told by the Trump administration that they must get rid of all their LGBTQ or 2S LGBTQIA rights if they want to continue trade. So I considered,
Protections.
sorry?
And not just rights, but protections
Yeah.
as well.
Protections. So if I am going to look at the options that we have for Prime Minister, Pierre would sell out his dad. He sold out his dad in the past. His father, Pierre Poilievre's father, is gay, and Pierre Poilievre has voted against marriage equality. And I have no doubts. I would bet $1,000, which I won't because whatever. But I mean, if I could, I would bet $1,000 that if Pierre won, which I hope he doesn't, he would also get rid of our protections in order just to trade with the states. That's the bottom line. Like, Pierre cannot be trusted with human rights. Pierre cannot be trusted with our economy. Pierre cannot be trusted with our environmental protections. That's
Or indigenous rights too.
indigenous rights too.
That's
Thank
a
you.
very big thing.
Yeah, thank you. And also human rights, not human rights, but women rights. And women rights includes all people with uteruses.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's why people are going to vote Liberal again, because of those things. Husky, what is false? Is you write your answer, and we'll tackle that when we can. But I'm sorry, Pierre Poilievre cannot be trusted. He couldn't be trusted to manage a flea circus.
Flea circus.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy. Thank you.
No problem.
A flea circus. That's a good one. But you're right.
I love that.
I get your point. I totally get your point. There's a reason why, he's, I don't know, he's really done nothing in 20 years, eh? And there's, it's
Yeah,
just,
I think he passed one bill,
yeah.
and then it got repealed by the Supreme Court.
Well, it was the Fair Elections Act, and Justin squashed most of it once he became prime minister, eh?
Yeah, which was really slow because a lot of things in there were like hidden in there. There's voter suppression parts of it, many other things too. But yeah, so.
But you got to think, who can be would you last at a job for 20 years and the only thing you did was maybe one, you know what I mean? One constructive thing in all that time?
Yep.
I find it funny too, because there's a quote that Pierre Poilievre made when he first got into Parliament, that you should not trust a lifelong politician.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he also pushed for a two-term limit. He wrote an essay in college or something saying all politicians should only be serving a two-term limit. I think he's on a fifth or sixth now, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he first got elected in 2004. How many elections have we had since then? I think we had like 3 in the 2000s. We had one in 2011. We had one in 2015.
3 for Harper, 3 for Trudeau. I don't know what else was in there. Maybe six?
Well,
Six
one
terms?
was Paul Martin.
My wife is looking up.
Yeah, so I mean, he'd been here quite a while, and let's be honest, the only job that he really had beforehand was being a paper boy.
Yeah.
Which that is honest work. I'm not putting down any people who deliver papers. I'm just saying that he acts as if he has a lot of experience, that he could run a country where the only thing he could do is, well, the only thing he could do. That's being, I'm exaggerating, but like he only delivered papers. That's the only thing he did before.
Well, he was a telemarketer agent for TELUS.
Oh, he
And
was.
do you know who he used to work for when he first started in politics?
Who?
No.
Ezra Levant.
Oh.
Ezra Levant was running in the same riding, or it was between Ezra Levant and Stephen Harper in the riding, and lo and behold, Stephen Harper decided to run. Ezra decided not to run, but so we could have had a Prime Minister Levant. Imagine that. But yeah, not too many people know that. He worked for Ezra Levant. And Stockwell Day.
Oh. Yeah. Well.
Sorry, how many? Yeah, so PP's been in 7 elections.
Wow. So if my math is correct, 7 is more than 2.
So has he won? He's won 7, right?
He's won. Yeah, in his riding.
Yeah, he's won 7 times in his well, 7 up to now, or 7 in total.
7 out of 22.
Yes, 7 as of the last election, he's won 7 times.
Wow.
It bugs me so much that I live so close to his riding.
Which riding are you in?
I'm in Ottawa South.
Okay.
He's in
Yeah.
Ottawa Carleton.
Well,
I know that Nepean, the riding
Mark
that Carney's, yeah, that's the riding that PP first started, and then they split it up later on, eh? Which is really ironic. That's where PP was first elected, was in Nepean. Nepean, is it called? Sorry?
Nepean, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Mark Carney's in the lead currently in Nepean.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? PP is at, I think there's only a 10-point or a 6-point difference on smart voting. And Bruce Fairjoy has risen by 6%, and PP has dropped by 7%. So we'll see what happens.
Well, let's hope that people in that... Sorry, what did you say? I don't mean to cut you off.
I hope he loses his seat.
Yeah, I would, you know what, that would be, best case scenario for me would be Liberals get a minority government propped up by the NDP. I know most people want a Liberal majority, but I'm sorry, the NDP really needs to be there to also keep them in check. But then the Conservatives lose, obviously, with people losing a seat. And I am going to enjoy his concession speech while he steps down at the same time.
Do you think they'll force him, do you think he'll retire?
Yeah.
I hope so.
You do? Okay. That would make the House of Commons so nice, so less toxic. He is 99% responsible for all the, question period has become unbearable. I still watch it, but it's just disgusting. So I think once he's gone, do you think they'll force him out? Like they did with Scheer?
Yeah, they always do. The Liberals and the Conservatives always force the leader out after a loss at an election. That's that goes back decades. That's like a tradition.
Okay.
But I think he has some cushy job lined up for him anyways, in like the
or
the IDU or in India or something. Who knows?
Or Loblaws.
Yeah, Loblaws.
But you know what? I think what would really make me happy if he resigned that night, if he lost, if they called a majority and maybe an hour or two and he says, "Oh, I'm resigning," eh? That would be just awesome. Yeah. So you say you'd like an NDP minority, but you really don't see that happening, do you?
Not right now. I don't. Well, it depends. So if people are really if enough people, so like I read a study about strategic voting. So if about 70% of people in each riding decides strategic voting, the NDP can still win about 45 seats because in about, I think, They have about 25 seats now, and then about 20
At
seats.
the most, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 20 other seats, they are the best alternative to the Conservatives. So if people stick with smart voting, the NDP could win about 45 seats ish. And then the Liberals, I think, win, I think 180 something. I don't remember what was said. But I mean, that would be majority. But I mean, either way,
And isn't
my
it
best
without
case
the
scenario would
strategic
be
voting, they drop down to 6 seats and then lose official party status?
Yeah, anything below 12, I think. Yeah, because they did lose on a official party status in 1993. They only had 9 or 8 seats in that one. So if they do worse than 9 or 8, like Jagmeet's even fighting for his own riding now, eh?
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
Like he's
A
in
lot of
third
it
place.
has-
That's not good.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with how the NDP have chosen to run their campaign.
Yes.
They've had a lot of missteps along the way.
I guess you guys heard about Jessica, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
not happy. Also, the way they treated other creators that they had pulled into that wasn't great either.
Mm.
Yeah, they were calling people socialists. That's usually what
That's what the
people
NDP
call
party
NDP.
is.
Yeah, that's what people usually call the NDP, and they were using socialists as a slur to attack
Right.
people. That was not good. And they were ordering creators to use that language too, eh?
Yeah, because if you look at it, so we got the conservative, which is our right. Liberals are supposed to be more towards center, and then we have our socialist party, which is the NDP.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Polaris, you're right. Sadly, that would mean losing a lot of some great NDP folks. Because I mean, like the NDP have right now and have had in the past some great parliamentarians.
Oh yeah, Jack Layton was awesome.
Jack Layton. We're
I cried when
losing
he died.
Ed Broadbent.
Ed Broadbent. Yes. Charlie Angus. He's retiring. So.
Dave Barrett, I believe he was a NDPer.
Mhm.
Well,
Tommy Douglas, famed Tommy Douglas,
Oh, yeah.
who's the father of
Medicare.
Medicare.
Yeah. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't know what's gonna happen. But even Tom O'Care, I am so angry with him. He's telling people not to vote NDP, eh?
Wasn't
I
he
never
removed from the
liked him.
party because he was
Yeah.
racist?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a member of the NDP, and I was back then when we were voting for the leadership with Tom Mulcair. We had ranked ballots. He didn't even make my top 3, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so through my experience of going to rallies and meeting people in the NDP, almost everyone was so humble, would talk to you like a human.
Yeah.
Even Jack Layton. Jack Layton was amazing. He would talk to me like a human. He looked at me in the eye. He wasn't thinking of going to the next person right away. He was shaking my hand, talking to me. Tom O'Care, absolute politician. Everything from his smile to his handshake felt faked.
I heard somebody had a run-in with Jagmeet. They were on a panel the other day, and Jagmeet was basically acting that way too. Somebody asked him some questions, not too tough or whatever, and Jagmeet kind of got offended and just walked away with his back towards the person. So, I don't know. Hey, was Fenn Robinson, was he NDP?
Yes, he was. He was the first openly gay politician in the House of Commons.
I think he would have been a good leader, eh?
Then he had that incident where he was caught shoplifting.
Oh yeah, but that wasn't really. He just took it and he forgot to pay for it, and they made a big deal about it, eh? I've done that
They made
before.
a big deal out of it because he was an NDP politician.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a conservative politician, they would have swept it under the rug. There's been several
100%.
several conservative MPs throughout the years who had DUIs who just get swept under the rug. Never
And
reported.
Harper let Mike Dykstra run, and he was facing SA allegations or whatever, eh? And even Harper tried to bribe an unaliving guy that was terminally unaliving. The MP, remember that? He tried to bribe him to vote a certain way. He was an independent. Begins with a C. With an insurance policy. Harper tried to pay him off. Do you
I
remember
think
that?
I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember the name either.
Oh gosh, I got it right here. I'll look it up on my thing. But yeah, and Harper said in a book in 2008 or something that he was worried that he would have been forced to resign. Actually, let's see if I can find it. I've got it here right on my. I have a lot of video clips and stuff on my profile that detail a lot of this. It was where's that here? I know I got it here.
While you're looking for that, because it's 1 o'clock, I just want to again just welcome everyone into the Rainbow Connection. We're part of the Beaver Network. We have shows
For the
every
people,
day.
by the people.
Sorry?
We are for the people, by the people.
Yes,
Spreading
for the people, by the
information
people.
through discourse.
Yeah. And you could subscribe by clicking the star down below. It's less than $5 a month. You get access to our Discord and to the lovely stickers that include a beaver holding a Canada flag versus an eagle with an American flag.
Okay, there you go.
I can't really read it, but Stephen Harper something. Can you read it out loud?
Stephen Harper feared he might have to resign over 2008 bribery allegations. He feared he might have to step aside if a police investigation occurred into allegations the Tories tried to bribe independent MP Chuck Cadman with an insurance.
Admin, yes. Now that you mentioned the name, I remember.
Yeah. So,
I remember.
how could people forget this stuff, eh?
Willful ignorance?
Yeah. So,
There's a bunch.
Pasty, who's leading in your riding?
Liberals currently.
Significantly, or
Oh, yes, there's no chance that the Conservatives are going to
so
win.
who's your MP? Is that Mark Gertson or whatever? Oh no, that's Kingston, I think.
I think he's going to check.
Yeah. Who's in your riding?
It's Liberal.
Okay. How's that?
Peter. I can't pronounce his name.
Okay.
Never mind.
Yeah.
But projection on smartvoting.ca has him at 56%. Oh wow, with the CPC in second place, that's unexpected because throughout the years it's been Bloc and the NDP have won this riding, but the CPC is in second place. That's a little bit. I know they're down by like 30 something points,
Okay.
but still that's still concerning.
Oh, so there's a 30-point gap.
Yeah.
In,
Oh,
in
yeah,
my
yeah.
writing, it's David McGinty.
Oh yeah, he's cool.
I know that name.
Yeah, he is. I'm not sure if he was or his brother was the premier of Ontario one time, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
I
Wasn't he?
think so.
Was it his brother or was it him? There was a McGinty, wasn't there?
Yeah, I think it was his brother.
Dalton McGinty's there. Thank you, Jane.
Yeah, Dalton McGinty, yeah.
Yeah, Dalton McGinty. That's who it was. Yeah, that's right. Huh?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so just again, sorry to the audience. Sorry. If you can, tapping is clapping to help support us. If you can't send gifts, please tap and also share because sharing is caring. But we do have live goals. Oh, thank you. And sorry, we'll continue. Is anyone in the audience who just named me your riding? I could look it up and I could tell you who's winning. Oh, hi, Peter.
How's Blanchet doing his riding?
Who?
Blanchet. The
You know
block.
what riding?
The block.
Blanchet. Blanchet.
yes.
I don't know
Montreal
what riding
something.
he's in. Let me see. Can we look up? Okay, hold on. I'll look it up.
I heard he was
He's winning, probably.
No, I heard he was losing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's in risk of losing it all.
I would like that. Well, I mean, I personally, a lot of people I know won't necessarily like my, but I don't like the Bloc Québécois. I feel that they are just, an inconvenience for no reason
Yeah.
whatsoever. Beloy Chambly. Oh, that was where I used to live near there.
Okay. I wasn't impressed with Eve's, Harry Potter this, and, he was quite insulting during the debates. Did you notice that?
Well, he said a couple of good things, like the working together part. I feel that was something that was good. But you're right, you're correct. No, but here in Smart Voting, it says that Yves Francois Blanchette is at 45%. The Liberal is at 36%.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it's the CPC, and then NDP, and then PPC. But yeah, so there's not going to be any vote splitting there because. Excuse me, that's third place is CPC, and I don't see them jumping to the Liberals to beat out Yves Francois. But it's a 9-point difference, which is, I think, a lot smaller than it had been in the past. I think he's won that riding pretty comfortably in the past, and this is a little bit too. I think it's pretty close. Yeah. But he's winning at the moment. But who knows? I mean, You know what? I mean, I know JP and Valkyrie say that smart voting is very accurate, which in probably most cases it can be. But like most statistics, it can be wrong. If we looked at, I think it was the New Brunswick election last year, polls were stating that that the NDP were going to win, or no, maybe that was the Saskatchewan. Either way, I know the Saskatchewan election and the New Brunswick, the polls were saying one side was going to win, but it was the Conservatives who ended up winning.
Well, same thing for Alberta too. Our last election, they were saying it could be a toss-up, but it wasn't close as we thought. So yeah,
exactly. So
I know with smart voting, they've JB has, or at least for Ontario and Saskatchewan, he apologized for the improper information, I guess, or the wrong information. And they're trying their best to do better with the information that they're given, right?
Yeah. So
who do you think? Let's say Jag loses his job. Who do you think's the best person to lead the party after that?
Bob Canoe.
Yeah, I don't think Rob Canoe should leave his post.
I know.
He should. I think he should
another term, maybe, right?
This term, and then go for one more term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think, first of all, that if Carney does win, which is a very good chance, I think he's going to be in there for at least 2 terms. Because Canadians usually give prime ministers at least 2 terms, usually. Joe Who, but anyways. But yeah, so I think that the next, I don't know who's the next leader. I would have wanted Charlie Angus, but Charlie Angus is retiring.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so sad that he's retiring. He's done so many good things for Timmins.
Yeah. Peter Cullen, is he still an MP? He ran for NDP leadership at one point. And he's trilingual. He speaks Spanish, French, and English.
How about Rachel Notley? She's more of a liberal federally, isn't she?
I like her. I did not like her stance on the tar sands, and I'm going to call it the tar sands because that's what I believe they are. I don't like her stance on that.
Okay.
I'm very much in the position where I understand that we need oil to a certain degree, but we really need to be working harder to use less and less of it. And
yes.
You can go green.
Yeah, and that's the only thing that I don't like about Carney is the fact that he is very pro tar sands, and that does worry me a little bit, but certainly nowhere near as pro tar sands as pure polyester, because pure polyester.
Or Daniel Smith.
Yeah, he would.
The idea of the pipeline scares me.
Okay, there's another good.
communities.
There's another good question: is when PP goes, which you probably will if he loses, or what's going to happen to that party? Do you think they're going to break up? Do you think they're going to become a progressive conservative and a conservative reform party, or what do you think is going to happen? And who do you think is going to lead that party?
I have a feeling Doug Ford's going for trying to get the lead of the federal Conservative Party.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking Melissa Ladsman's probably going to put her nose in there too, eh?
Is that the lesbian?
Yeah.
Ugh. She turned it back on her own people.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. She's disgusting, eh?
And just to make clear, audience, I wasn't going because she's a lesbian. I was going because she turned her back on her
On the
people.
people, yes, that's entirely right. She's an opportunist too. I could see her becoming the interim leader until they actually get an official leader. But I don't know if that party's going to last, because if you lose 4 elections, how many parties have lost 4 elections in a row ever?
The
And
NDP.
still, what? Sorry, what?
The NDP.
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I mean that if held power, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean, an opposition party to lose 4 elections in a row. Don't you think that's going to break them up or cause some infighting at least?
I think
That's already
so.
causing infighting.
You know what? I really would like to see a lot of infighting, and for them to, because the thing is that right now they're like the maggots, the
Yes.
maggots in the States.
Yes.
We don't need that here. If they go back to the progressive conservatives and the way they were before, I think they have a much better chance of running Canada at one point. And I wouldn't be as scared. Like, see, I wouldn't have been scared of Jean Charest if he had become prime minister. Because
Me
Jean
too.
Charest, though he is,
Yeah.
you know, fiscal conservative. I mean, for the most part, he, you know, in Quebec, he stood up for LGBTQ rights.
Yeah.
You know, so, and I mean, I don't know much about his views on Indigenous rights, but I
He's
do know
good about it. He was pretty good about it. Well, you know, he's on Carney's advisory team right now dealing with the states.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah. So there we go. A conservative working with a liberal conservative.
And Rachel
consider-
Notley's on that team too, by the way.
Yes, Rachel's on it too. So, you know, it's Carney's open to all views, right? But I'm just wondering, because when the progressive conservatives merged with the Reform Party, a lot of people like Joe Clark even left the party. He became an independent, right?
Mhm.
So I'm wondering what's going to happen. Is it going to fracture? Will this loss fracture will destroy the party?
Depends. I think if and Jane says you do not want Dofo. No, I'm not saying that we want Dofo. However, I think if Doug Ford goes for the leadership, I think he would be a unifier. Like, I think he's the one who would unify it. I think that I don't know. It really depends. Like, Doug Ford is on the PC side more. I think he would, but he's also more for unifying it, because
Yes.
I just see him being that type of guy. I think that if someone who is more radical, like far right, I think that would divide the party more.
You do, because they figure that's it. We can't win again, or what? Or we can't win doing this again.
Well, the thing is I think there had already been, we haven't heard much about it, but there was a former CPC member of parliament who has broken off and created his own party.
Yeah, the Freedom Canada Party or something, right?
I don't remember the name, but yeah, and he was talking about how the days in the old PC days, that's what we need back. That didn't really go anywhere, so maybe, I mean, with this, there'll be more people shifting to him. What they need is like a big name to really launch the party.
Carolyn Mulroney.
Who? Carolyn
Mulroney.
I don't know, but if you've watched Ben Maroney's X,
Yes.
he's a maggot himself.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I can't
Yes.
believe it. I can't believe it. I would have thought he would have been a little bit more progressive. In fact,
Yes.
when I had X, I tweeted it, and once I said your father would be rolling around in his grave if he knew what you were standing for.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's yeah.
So-
What do you think? A lot of the extreme right wing Reform Party people will be going to the PPC if they did break up.
Maybe. What do you think, PC?
I would imagine that a lot of them would go for the PPC, because I find the PPC is very much like the Conservative Party, but worse.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't think they would go for the PPC with Max, whatever his name is. I can't remember.
Bernier.
Max Bernier. I don't see them going for them with him as the leader, because Max Bernier is just an embarrassment.
And he's French, and Quebec people or Alberta Western racist people do not like French people, right?
Well, I mean, you know what? I would have said that, but look at Marlena Smith, aka Dirty Danielle, coming
Yeah.
out to Quebec last week to talk about how we could both separate. Like, I really thought hell froze over because Alberta and Quebec has been at each other's throats for years, and all of a sudden, whoop, they're best friends.
All over the equalization stuff, eh?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't think Quebec actually stands with Danielle, though, because of the fact that wanting to produce oil isn't a cultural reason to
Yeah.
divide from Canada.
Yeah, I don't know. Francois Legault, or as I call him, No Go Legault, he is, for me, he's unpredictable because he's a businessman first. To be honest, he's a businessman first, politician second. That's part of the reason why he won Quebec is because he said he was going to put the separation question on the back burner because Quebec does not have the right economic situation at the moment. So that's why he ended up winning. Was a big reason. But so I don't think he is a real separatist. I think that he is. I kind of feel like he's more like Doug Ford, but like not in a like Doug Ford kind of is like a happy-go-lucky. Like I don't know. I don't want to say something
He's
too
in
bad.
it for himself.
He's
I
in it for
don't like
himself.
Doug Ford.
Yeah, and that's
He's
what
the
I feel.
premier of my province. I hate him.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like Francois Legault is there too. I mean, under him, we've seen laws strengthened for landlords. We've seen landlords being able to kick people out easier. And anyways, there's just a lot of the housing issues has been exacerbated by Legault, basically.
I know Blanchet has stated a few times within his platform this election about bringing back the idea of becoming separate from Canada again.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that all this separatist talk is just so. I know. First of all, I think it's treasonous, whatever. I know that we don't have like strong laws against treason, and I kind of do believe in like being able to speak your mind. However, like there comes a point, especially when we're under attack by the people down south. We need to have unity, and the people who are going to be talking about separation during this time, I think they should be muzzled, whether physically or legally, whatever.
Or forced to resign,
Yeah.
Yeah,
at least.
yeah, because like I've said many times, maybe not on the show, but elsewhere, that okay, I have to watch what I say. So 1930s Germany, mustached man only needed like a very small amount of Austrians to claim that they wanted Germany to annex them for him to actually roll in and annex them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what did he do? He changed their constitution so he could overrule the chancellor?
He did a lot of things, but no, the chancellor died, and then he just proclaimed himself to be.
Oh, okay, because he was kind of like the second guy in charge
So
kind
he
of
was the
thing?
prime minister, or whatever they call the prime minister, because they were kind of set up like England. Well, not
Yeah.
England, no, sorry, like Russia. How Russia has a supreme leader, Putin, and then they have a prime minister. So, Mustache Man was the prime minister in that sense, and then the chancellor had passed away, and he proclaimed himself to be supreme leader.
Is it kind of like France has got a president and a prime minister?
Yeah, I mean, in that
Okay.
sense, yes. I don't know much more details. Like, there's probably more differences. So excuse my ignorance on that. But basically, he was head of the parliament, or the Rangstad, if I'm saying that correct. And then there was the chancellor, who was like a president type person.
You know, the parallels between the tea guy down south and the mustache man are so similar. Like, the mustache man was even in jail for a while, right? He wrote that book in there, and then he ends up leading the country after getting out of prison. It's like, what's going on, eh?
Yeah.
You know, and Trump or the T guy gets convicted of what? He's a convicted felon, and now he's leading their country. You know, I think Canada is much smarter than that.
I hope.
I hope
Yeah.
Canada is smarter.
You know
than
what?
that.
Like I would never have guessed that a conservative party under Pierre Poilievre with this whole maggot mindset would be so high in the polls.
Yes. And
fact that he
in a sense, that's a good thing that the orange guy came along, because if he didn't come along, I'm not sure if Carney would have been as high, or I don't even think Carney would have thrown his hat in the ring. Do you?
Possibly. Pasty, what were you going to say?
I think either way, if Polyev would have still done the rhetoric of quoting John A. Macdonald and wanting to go back to the times of John A. Macdonald, he would have lost a lot of votes either way.
Yeah.
Because right there and then we're talking about someone who's a supremacist.
Yeah. And he responsible for Riel being unalived and
Yeah, he took a
sending
lot
those
from
Chinese
the
people
UK.
into the tunnels and stuff like that to build the railways. He was an evil man.
He's the reason we had residential schools.
Yes. And he condoned the starvation of First Nations too, eh?
Yeah, and wasn't he the one who gave out the smallpox blankets?
No, that's actually a fallacy. That never actually happened in Canada. That was more in the States.
Oh,
No, it did
But I don't.
happen
I think
here
it did
in
happen
Canada.
here, but it was the Hudson's Bay traders that were doing that, wasn't it?
Pasty, what were you going to say?
It had a part to do with the Hudson's Bay traders, but John A. Macdonald, when he got wind of it, specifically took those blankets and sent it to the reserves.
Oh, yeah, that's what I thought. So
Yeah. So do you think that's like you're First Nations yourself, right, Pasty?
Yeah.
So within your group or your band or your nation, are people quite upset with PP pushing Sir John A?
Oh, yes. Most Indigenous people I talk to are incredibly upset with the racist rhetoric that he's spouting when it comes to John A. Macdonald.
Just preaching him as a hero is offensive enough, right?
Yeah, there's a reason his statue was taken down and he was removed from the $10 bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
He
what, and
also was he also took the side of the South when it came to the U.S.'s Civil War, because
Yes.
he thought that slavery shouldn't be abolished.
really.
Well,
I didn't
he
know
was
that.
actually accused of bribery to get the railway across Canada, eh? That was all based on bribery allegations, eh? They were never proven, but that's how the railway got across Canada, eh?
Yeah, but and he cleared the plains of the Indigenous people and put them on reserve so he could build it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's Canada certainly does have a dirty past. That like people like Pierre Poilievre like to. Well, at one point they wanted to hide. Now I don't feel like they're hiding. Now they're like proclaiming it. Like, look at what we did, and they're like standing on a high horse while saying that, which is disgusting.
Plus, it's not even the same conservatives. It wasn't even the same party, right? He keeps preaching like John A. was a conservative hero. Well, no, PP was. PP has never been. Has PP ever been a progressive conservative, or has he always been a reform conservative?
Reform, from what I know.
Reform.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So yeah.
sorry, Pacey, you were going to say something before?
And with John A. Macdonald, like he was a drunk. Even for in that time, he was considered a drunk.
Yep.
There were times where he'd show up to Parliament so intoxicated he couldn't speak.
Yep. That's true.
Extreme, and he quoted that that Canada needed to be Aryan. That sounds like someone else.
He was
I know in the
eugenics. He was a
19th.
eugenics guy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I did not know that.
Not to mention the Mustache Man, who had openly stated it during the 1940s. A lot of what he chose to and how he built his camps
Yeah.
was based around the Canadian residential school system.
Really?
So I didn't even know that word existed before the Mustache Man. I guess it did in World War I at least.
Oh, it's existed for quite a long time.
Oh, I guess the Romans must have used it and all that stuff too, eh?
The Romans did have work camps.
But that word, the Aryan, or if I can, I don't think I can use that word in here. But yeah, that A word, I didn't even know. Yeah, you're right. Romans were quite dictatorship too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh,
I
interesting.
mean, they did. No, I'm getting that. Never mind. I'm not going to say because I'm not sure. I'm not going to say it. But yeah, no. Like I mean, humanity in general. Sorry, not humanity in general. I'm going to say. No, that's not correct either. Okay, so most from what I've read, and I could be wrong, most indigenous populations within North America and like the Pacific Islands and all that were fairly peaceful, unless they really had to. From what I know of like European and Asian history, is that wars and conquests and all that was much more
Common.
common than with most indigenous people, like I said, in Americas and the Pacific Islands and that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I know indigenous people all across Turtle Island. Like, we had our own trade networks and everything before the white men came.
Yeah.
We had full societies and ways to, because like we didn't necessarily have crime in the way that it is now today.
Hmm.
Because it was something that was based so much around community. You helped others get the
Yeah.
things that they needed if you had the ability to give.
Yeah, Polaris, I wasn't saying that there was none, but I was just saying that it's more heard of within Asia and Europe.
And if it wasn't for the Iroquois, or was it the Mohawks fighting for Canada against the U.S., they helped,
was
didn't they?
both.
It was both? Okay, that's right, yeah.
There was a large amount of indigenous people. So there were Cree that were a part of it. There were Ojibwe people who were a part of it. There
Hmm.
were Iroquois, Mohawks that all fought in the War of 1812 against the U.S.
Mhm. Yeah. Right. I want to actually shift the conversation just a little bit.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So we wait, what do I have here? Yeah. So one thing that in the world that I think will can affect Canada, and I think Canadians should pay attention to, because the if I'm not mistaken, the far right leader of Hungary is a member of the IDU. So they just recently amended their constitution to ban pride marches or
Pride
pride
parades.
parades, as well as I think there were some other smaller things that they banned, like they banned
flags as
rainbow
well.
colors. Yeah,
Where,
exactly.
sorry? I apologize, I didn't hear that. Where?
Hungary.
Oh, yeah, Orban, right?
I guess I you know what I should pay more attention to the names, but when they're like that ignorant, I'm not really.
Yeah, that's his name is Orban. He's good friends with Harper. There's paid pictures of him shaking hands. You've probably seen that picture around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Harper
guy.
is the chair of the IDU.
Well, that's what kind of scared me about PP saying he's going to use the notwithstanding, because he said that he'll use the criminal code to break up protest. And I'm just like, well, you know what? Why was he against using the criminal code to break up the Ottawa protest, eh?
Yeah. No, but see, that's those. If we connect the dots, so if we connect the Hungary, we
Yeah.
connect the dots to what the Trump administration had told UK of doing to getting rid of the LGBT protections, and PP saying that he would the use of the notwithstanding clause.
Yes.
If you add all those together, that equals Pierre Poilievre suspending the Constitution, well, not suspending, but overriding the Constitution and the Supreme Court to get rid of the protections and the laws that are for the 2S LGBTQA people.
Yeah.
Just for trading, not even if Trump did not threaten Canada, I'm pretty sure people would do
The
it.
T word.
The orange mustache Mussolini chief buff person.
Yeah.
So
But
yeah.
I know your point, because if you use the notwithstanding clause for one thing, what's going to stop you from using it again and again and again? Why even have judges, right?
Exactly. And if you take a look at the provincial governments, it's 9 out of 10 times it's the conservative provincial governments have been using the notwithstanding clause. I think Doug Ford's used it several times. Dirty Danielle, No Go Legault. I think Scott Moe's used it, or he's at least threatened to use it. I think the
I
old
thought they
conservative leader in
attempted
New
but
Brunswick
didn't
used it.
succeed. I thought they attempted but didn't succeed.
Who?
No, you can either use it or you can't use it. Like it's basically you use it, and then that's it, right? Or what? Can it be challenged or appealed?
No.
No. So that's it. Really? So if PP wants to say no more protest, I'm using the notwithstanding clause. That's it.
Yep. The Supreme Court can't do anything. The only thing is that it has to be renewed every 5 years. So
yeah.
after 5 years, if they don't use it again, then it that whatever law they used to push through would go away.
So kind of similar to the Emergencies Act that Justin used or enacted.
I think that's a little bit different because that's
Okay.
for
There is-
emergency.
There's a big difference between the notwithstanding clause and the Emergencies Act.
Okay.
So the Emergencies Act is
Short term, right?
short term, and it's used in generally cases where help is absolutely needed,
Mhm.
and it's to better the population of Canada, not strip away their rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? When PP was asked in that presser to give an example of a convicted unaliver that's happened to in Canada ever, he could not provide one example. Because seriously, how many serial killer or unalivers do you know? I cannot think of one in Canada that's ever gotten out of jail. Can you?
Not that I know of. Just hold on that thought for a second. I just want to say, so it says here that the Emergencies Act expires after 30 days unless it's revoked or continued through a vote in Parliament. And a
Okay.
public welfare emergency declaration expires after 90 days.
90. Okay.
So whereas like the notwithstanding clause is a 5-year stint.
5 years, eh? Ouch.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's scary. That's just totally
It's
scary.
terrifying.
Yeah.
You know what? The laws that he wants to bring in, Harper had those same tough mandatory laws in,
Yep.
and it got challenged in 2016 in the Supreme Court, and they ruled them unconstitutional.
Yeah.
Now Pierre keeps attacking Justin and now Carney, saying that it's their decision. No, it's just our government respecting the ruling of the Supreme Court, right?
Yeah.
That's
And
all
the
they're
rights of
doing.
the Canadian people.
Yeah. So
So, like, just to bring this whole circle, I believe with like 100%, I believe that Pierre Poilievre would use the notwithstanding clause to trample over, well, not just two LGBTQ, sorry, it's a tongue twister sometimes, rights, but anyone with the uterus rights as well,
yeah, and Indigenous
Exactly.
rights.
and Indigenous rights, yes.
The fact that PP wants to give a fetus personhood is terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the people keep saying like, oh no, he's not going to do that. He's not. They have never read the policy declaration. And actually, I feel confident now because we went through it, or in 2 of our episodes, went through the policy declaration. And we read it.
The Conservative Party one.
Yeah, and it's plain. It's just plain English in there what they plan to do, and like that's the document that is like their Bible when it comes to creating policy.
It also
Well, yeah,
states
that's
that
like
the-
O'Toole said when he was running. He was like, "Well, it's in our policy. It doesn't mean we're going to do it." It's like, yeah, it does.
Sorry, Pasty.
in the policy declaration too. There is a spot that states that AB will never should not be given as an option in family care for women.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, you know, I know politicians in general are known for saying one thing and doing other things, but I mean, it's like, it's so plain with Pierre Poilievre that, that I really believe that his followers don't care. They don't care as long as he gets in power. they don't care because they're not going to be affected. Which, I mean, some of them are a little bit delusional in that case. Like Melissa, I don't remember her name, Lansman.
Landsman, yeah.
Like she's delusional. Peter's father is gay, so you know. Also, a lot of the conservative women, you know, like if you have not started that that period in, I don't know if we can say it. Yeah, we could say menopause. If they haven't started menopause, then you can very well be affected by any type of AB regulations.
Yeah. There's also, I think a lot of it too is they use it as a way, basically as permission to be hateful.
Yeah.
If
Yeah, I
someone
agree.
in power is allowed to be hateful and pass hateful bills, that means that being discriminatory and misogynistic and all these other things are 100% okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, it's one. Sorry, go on, Pasty.
So people feel more comfortable spewing hate
Mm-hmm.
instead of doing their best to treat everybody like they're human.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and all they have to do is look down in the States, those conservatives. They got to think, you know what? All the people that supported the T guy, look at what's happening to them. Like, some of them are getting deported now that voted for that guy, eh?
Right?
Yeah. 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 I just want to, it's a little bit past 1:30, so I just again want to, again, first of all, welcome all the people in the audience and down there. We are inviting people to come up and talk. So if you want to come up and talk, whether you agree with us or not, you can come up. Just please, you know, in good faith, be respectful. Exactly. So, and I also want to remind everyone that if you want to, oh, sorry, that's what I get for drinking soda. Click on the star below. You can subscribe for less than $5 a month. Pasty, if you can do the honors about showing them the lovely stickers that they get. You can also
Yes,
get.
I can.
Sorry, go on.
I said yes, I can.
Oh, okay, sorry. And you also get access to the Discord, where you can participate in our discussions. If you can click the orange heart up there, you can join our team. All gifts are appreciated. Not only do you help support us, but you help support the full, all the Beaver Network. Beaver Network, we have shows every day, and we're just a bunch of left-leaning progressive voices that are trying to, you know, spread awareness and truth amongst all this misinformation and disinformation that's coming from the right. What else am I missing? Oh, yes, sharing is caring. So if you know people who would like to share, who would like to come in and talk, share this. And yeah, oh yeah, and tapping is clapping. So if you can't share with anyone or can't afford to give gifts, tap a little bit, you know, help us get us over 10,000 K. That would be amazing. Right.
So one thing I wanted to ask you about, what did you think about the scrums being canceled yesterday? That was pretty bad, eh?
Well, I haven't read anything this morning, but I heard that they were canceled because there was a fight.
Yeah, Ezra Levant was fighting with the journalist, because I'm not going to call Ezra Levant a journalist, eh?
No.
And I've done some research, and I
be careful though what you say, because he is a serial sewer. So be careful. I don't want you to get
okay. So he, I did some research, and I looked on Elections Canada because the journalists were accusing him of not being a journalist, eh? And yeah, they paid almost 190, just over 190,000, according to the Elections Canada, on advertising, pitching one candidate against another. Wow. So they're not really a news organization; they're a advertising organization, eh? So, anyways, what happened last night is Ezra was fighting, and the Rebel people and the True North, I guess, with the journalists, and they just felt the tension was too great, so they just canceled all the scrums.
Well,
they should never let Rebel News in there, but I guess they let Rebel News in there because they threatened to sue the debate commission. And PP was asked two questions in his presser today, twice, 2 times in a row, like 2 questions in a row, if he figures that the Leaders Debate Commission should be resign or be abolished, eh? and PP just deflected from the questions, because if he would have said, yeah, I think Rebel News was acting improperly, he would have hurt his base. And then if he would have said Rebel News was just doing their job, then he would have hurt the other. You know what I mean? He was damned if he did and damned if he don't, eh? But yeah, that's what happened. Rebel News caused a commotion, and they didn't feel safe, which is really scary, eh?
Yeah. Pasty, you were going to say something?
Oh, I got really angry for the ones after the French debate, because the right wing, I don't even want to call them media, but they took up almost all the time for asking
Yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
and asked stupid questions
Yeah.
that had nothing to do with the damn election.
Yeah. One question they asked was, Carney, you saw that one, eh? That Kean, the guy that chased Justin down the beach or whatever. He said, "Do you like Justin?" Or no, do you like Justin Trudeau or something? What was the question? Your one, Pasty?
I'm not 100% sure. I know they asked him if he believes how many genders there are.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful for how he responded, because
Yeah.
he like detoured. He's like, in response to sex, there are two. And then he tried to get away from it.
But yeah, you're right. I think there was only one question from non-right wing the entire scrum that night, eh?
Yeah. Oh, it was aggravating.
Yeah. They shouldn't. I'm sorry, but like there really needs to be like a commission that like an independent commission, or at least if there is, I think there is, but they really need to fix this whole journalism issue and media issue, because like it's getting out of hand. And like all this misinformation, they're spreading misinformation and disinformation, and they're getting away with it because they're saying, "Oh, freedom of press, blah blah blah." But you know what? We need to crack down on that. And I know a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, well, what about freedom of speech?" You know what? We don't have freedom of speech. We have freedom of expression. And I'm sorry, lying, hate speech is not
And
free speech.
misinformation.
Or misogynist speech.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, we have free speech, but if you say the wrong thing, we have consequences.
And it's funny
We have
because
free
those
expression.
consequences.
We have free expression. Sorry, we don't have free speech, right?
Yeah. It's,
No, we have free speech as long as you're not threatening anybody, and you're not
Yeah.
being deliberately hurtful.
Yeah, and hate speech. Hate speech is
Yeah, and hate speech.
but in the charter, if you want to use language, it's protection of freedom of expression, which does include speech.
Yeah, it could include signs. It could include protest. It could include, but we have it. But there are consequences. Well, no, there's no limits. There's a. If you exceed that limit, if you cross the boundary, you could be criminally charged, right?
Yeah, I mean, depending, and it takes a lot too, because there's been issues of hate speech in the past that just gone nowhere. I think the one example, I think it was Manitoba. I think there was this religious group mailing these anti-LGBT
Abortion things. I remember those real gross. I saw those. They were going door to door, and there was like fetuses of A-bead or whatever on them. Those ones, right?
No, specifically, I was talking about an LGBTQ. LGBTQ, and that was intervened.
Okay.
But generally, you have to go pretty far for like hate speech to come into play. Again, which I'm not really a fan of. I think we need to like toughen up a little bit, because like, I mean, sure, I'm all for everyone thinking what they want to think, but as soon as you go public with your thoughts of hatred, that's when it becomes an issue.
Yes.
And I think we need to have more teeth in those laws to go after those people. Regulation, yeah, exactly.
And I get that because, I don't know, a few years ago I had someone start messaging me almost on all of my platforms and started threatening me, or spewing hate speech about the 2S LGBTQ community, calling me all sorts of derogatory names, So I called the cops, and the cops said they couldn't do anything until they physically showed up at my house.
Mm. Yeah.
I thought if you fear for your safety, legitimately fear for your safety, that's considered harassment and whatever, right? Then they can be charged
The
with that.
cops wouldn't. I'm
No.
like, it's harassment. I want to charge for harassment.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, we can't do anything until they show up on your property.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I remember one year I went to Toronto Pride, and there was this preacher at the corner preaching hate speech, and the police didn't do anything about it, which I thought was kind of, well, first of all, that just goes to show why police should not be in pride parades, because they're still
right.
they're not our allies.
Yes.
Second of all, them just letting him stay there in that area, spewing that hate.
Yeah, I think the problem there is that it's up to the cops' discretion, and some cops know it's against the law, but they just don't want to be bothered, and they're not doing their job, right?
Yeah, well, it's not just that, but I mean, like, so
It's kind of like when on 420 day, before you know what was legal, people used to meet in a field and light it up or whatever, right? And then now,
People-
you know, and so the cops would just stand outside the field. It was illegal at the time, but they wouldn't do anything. So it's kind of similar to that. They just sort of overlook it, eh? Which they probably shouldn't.
yeah,
Here in Ottawa, I remember, like, on 420, a bunch of people would sit on the Parliament lawn smoking, and they
Yeah.
do nothing about it.
Well, that's what they did in Calgary outside the city hall. Everyone just used to sit there and light it up, and the cops would just
The
watch.
the entire downtown corridor here is like a smoky haze on 420.
Well, I went to I think it was Edge Fest, which was like a music festival in Montreal like a while ago. I think it was like 1998. And there had been two cops that had come to my high school and talked to us, blah blah blah. And as lo and behold, those two cops were there. I think they're lesbian lovers, but whatever. And they were smoking it. And I went up to them. I said, "Should you be smoking it?" And they said, "We're not on duty. We don't know what the law is." So. And I was under 18.
Are police officers allowed to smoke it now? If it's outside their job, and then maybe within a
As
certain
long as
amount of
they're off
time.
duty, generally
It
they're allowed.
depends. It depends. It depends on which police force you're in. Because I know if the RCMP, well, anyways, when my friend applied about like 10 years ago, you're not allowed. If you say that you've used it before on your application, they don't hire you. I don't know if the RCMP is still like that, but I guess it depends on what police force you're part of. This was the Montreal police. Montreal is well known for their love of that stuff.
Well, you know who voted against that?
PB.
Yeah, he did. What is?
Well, because again, they're anti-science, and even though science has proven that it's not really a gateway drug, not only that, but it helps people manage pain. It helps with all sorts of things like anxiety, etc. They don't care. They're just like, oh, it's a drug. It's bad.
But it's not
Yeah,
the
you
only
remember
reason it
when,
became
Sorry, go ahead, Pasty.
the only reason it became illegal was a way to fuel hate between different races of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only that, back in the 20s or 1910s, there was quite a rivalry between the textile industry, between hemp and cotton, and the cotton producers pushed. It's kind of like oil and renewable,
Yeah.
but back then cotton won the lobbying, and hemp. It was a battle. That's what, and then they used it as a fear tactic in the 30s and 40s because people were smoking it. It would make them crazy or whatever, and that was a lot of the textile industry that pushed that.
Yeah, there was certainly a lot of elements in getting it shunned and outlawed. I think one of the big ones is, like as Pacey said, was race.
Yeah, at least
Yeah.
I know in the States,
Yeah.
big fuel for the fire was race
Yeah.
against different minorities.
So where it start it, but what, like African? They thought that
Mexicans.
Mexicans. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, it all comes back down to what white supremacy and colonization.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's just. I'm glad that we're for the most part I would say we're moving away, but then again I remember what's happening down south. So
Yeah. Hopefully PP won't win, and it's looking that way. I think once that's squashed, I think after this election, I think people are really gonna unite as Canada. Do you think that is true or what? I know we're united now. Or do you think the right-wing people that supported PP, do you think they're gonna rebel?
There's a chance. That's
well,
for
I've heard
sure.
rumors,
Yeah, me too.
but
I'd like to see
rumors are
them all
rumors.
go down to the States and just leave us alone.
Well, I've heard about another convoy starting, so I hope that's not true because I don't think
I've
Carney
heard that
would
3
put-
times.
Yeah, I don't think Carney would put up with it. I think he'd order the forces in there and just say, "That's it. You guys, we're going to put up blockades outside of Ottawa, and you're not coming in here, eh?" Do you
if they want to protest, fine. Protest is your right. But
Yes.
as soon as that crosses the line to using violence or occupying that area or harassing people in that area, that is no longer legal. I mean,
Yep.
if that was a like I don't know if I can say this, a anti-fascist protest like the convoy. I'm sorry, PP and people like him would be like salivating, wanting to like go in there with their own like hands to remove them themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I think now that we don't have COVID, I think it would be easier to what do you call it? Enforce things.
yeah,
We don't have that.
yeah. We still do have COVID. It's just the
Severity,
Effects of it.
effect of it is not as
the contagiousness of it, or whatever, right?
well. I mean, the effects on society isn't as it once was. We've progressed a long way in how to treat it. So we're in
Yeah.
a better position now than we used to be.
And our economy's a lot better. People are back to work and everything right now, eh?
Yeah.
Like if you had people being restricted on going to work in Ottawa again, like they were during COVID, Carney would not put up with it. And I think most Canadians would support him in whatever he decided, eh?
I don't know.
see a lot of-
Carney is very much. I think he believes in science, and if science was telling him that those mandates needed to be back in place, I think he would support it. I know maybe a lot of people won't, but I mean, I think that we do have to listen in cases like that. We need to listen to medical experts, because they're the ones who know the best.
I could see a lot of people here in Ottawa. If there were another convoy, like putting up and occupying, there'd be a lot of Ottawa citizens that would be like, "Oh hell no!"
Yeah.
And I'm actually surprised. Trying to think of how to say this. So, I mean, I think if I was lived in that area and I wasn't able to sleep, I think I would have taken my bag of sugar and would have went to visit all those trucks. I don't know if you get the gist, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to get in trouble.
Or pouring something from my balcony. They were down below in my apartment.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Did you ever see that famous video, that guy yelling from his balcony at the occupiers? That's a classic Canadian thing, eh?
Mhm.
But yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
I don't think they're going to try again. I think, and first of all, like if we're hearing rumors, I'm pretty sure the RCMP and CSIS
We're hearing them too.
are all hearing them too.
Yeah.
I don't think I think now this is my opinion, and this is not necessarily the opinion of Beaver Network, but I believe the Ottawa Police were on the side of the convoy people, and that's why they.
I agree too. Well, yeah, that's why Justin had to pull in. Who did he pull in? The National Guard or the
SQ, the
RCMP?
OPP.
No, the RCMP, right? Who did they pull in?
Well, I think they pulled in the RCMP, the
Okay.
SQ, and the OPP.
Okay. Yeah,
think
yeah,
he
I
had
agree
also
too.
pulled in
I agree
military.
too. Yeah, there was a lot of sympathizers within the Ottawa police, eh?
I think so, and especially since the Ottawa police chief, there was some like controversy with him, and he ended up stepping down. So,
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is my opinion. I don't have any like actual proof, but I believe that their attitude towards the convoy was more positive than it should have been.
Yeah.
So, and I don't see that happening now necessarily. I do
No.
know a lot of police do vote conservative. Well, again, that's generalization, but all the police people or the officers that I know are all more leaning to conservatives, possibly because when conservatives are in power, more money gets to police services and they get more stuff, or more money, etc. But yeah, like I don't feel them being as, even if PP loses, I don't believe that they're going to be so in support of a convoy. Partly because they see what's going on down south, and they're more about law and order than about a specific party, anyways.
The fact that Canada's not. Like, we generally pride ourselves on being different than the US and not being hateful and bigoted.
Now, with that said, again, this is my opinion. I do believe if PP wins, and if he enacts certain things that we talked about, or like tries to get away, tries to take away body autonomy from people with uteruses, or rights and protections from the LGBTQ plus, etc. I do think major protests, not honking your horn all night. I mean, I certainly do not believe in making the people in that area suffer at all. But I do believe some major protests do need to happen. In that.
Oh, I agree too. And I'll be out there. I'll be out there. Kind of similar. I think the protests will be similar to the ones that when Harper was in power, like the I Don't Know More and stuff like that. That would happen again. You know,
I
they
think, yeah.
were fairly peaceful. There was no occupation or anything when I Don't Know More was going on, like there was with the convoy, right?
Pasty, you were going to say something?
I can definitely see a lot of protests go completely across the country if PP ends up in. I feel like it'd be very similar to the protests that are currently taking place across the U.S. Against Trump.
Yeah.
I mean,
Where they basically protest
Cheeto
during the
Man.
day and they go home during the night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So forever, he's not taking anything away. I don't think that. First of all, just because he has a special needs daughter does not mean anything. First of all, he is a member of the IDU, and Harper is the chair. If we take a look at the government of Hungary, who just banned pride flags and pride marches, etc., amongst other anti-LGBTQ protections, and then, like I said before, if we look at the orange Cheeto poof man asking the UK to do away with LGBTQ protections if they want to trade, I certainly see PP doing that here. I don't even think he needs to be threatened by Orange Mussolini.
But you know what? Based on the polls now, I can't see PP getting a majority because if he was to win, if anything, it would be a minority. And then all it takes is for the other parties to go to the governor general, have a coalition, and that's it. He's gone. Because I don't think the Bloc would support PP.
No.
I don't think the NDP would support PP,
No.
right?
No. Pasty, sorry, you were going to say something too?
And if you look at like the policy declaration for the Conservative Party, Polyev has already voted against gay marriage once before. There's a high chance that he will use the notwithstanding clause to roll it back. He has also got policies within the policy declaration that will target trans rights.
Yeah. So Forever,
100%.
I think you need to do some reading. You can go to their website and look up their policy declaration, and there are several points in there that directly attack the 2S LGBTQI plus community. So, I mean, you can believe what you want, but it's down in black and white.
Yeah, he voted against gay marriage when his dad was visiting the House of Commons right in front of his dad. So whatever.
Yeah,
Who is gay.
exactly. Who is gay? Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Forever, you can like live in your delusional little world. Actually, you know what? People like you, I don't believe you're delusional. I believe that you don't care, and you are just saying those things to spread misinformation.
Like,
Willfully ignorant.
Yeah,
yes. Blinders.
yeah, exactly. As long as their best interests are going to be represented by Pierre Poilievre, they don't care about anyone else being trampled. And like, do you guys keep seeing this in the chat? AI protest or party? Let's decide.
No, that's only on your side.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Is that AI? Is that an actual
That's
AI
the-
bot just summarizing up what we're saying?
Yeah, it's the AI generated topic points.
Oh,
Yeah, it kind of takes the highlights of all the comments, and then it gives you a blurb, like a short little blurb about what's been going on, in case you
And
missed
we'll-
all the other comments.
And what we've been saying in the live.
Oh, look at Showtime. It says, I couldn't imagine being a liberal supporter. Liberals bring fear.
we don't bring fear. We bring facts. It's the wrong F word that you're using there, Showtime. The wrong F word.
Oh.
And like, you know, I can say a whole bunch of things, but Showtime, like, you know, you don't even have to be a liberal supporter. You know, I've never voted liberal in my life. I've never, well, I mean,
This will be the first year
in
that I
Quebec
vote liberal.
once. Yeah. In Quebec once for the Quebec Liberal Party, but I mean, Quebec, we don't really have many choices if you're an Anglophone. But federally, I've never voted Liberal before. This will be my first year voting Liberal, and I see Happy is there, and Happy is probably happy that I'm voting Liberal. But yeah,
Want to come up happy?
or Showtime too. If you want to come up and talk, as long as you're respectful, you can come up. Send a request, and you can come up and talk and tell us what you wanted to say. Oh, filter unwanted. Let's wait. Spam comments, yeah, potentially, whatever. Well,
You might have to take the filter out. I don't know how many, you got to look at how many followers he's got. And then,
I've changed the filter.
Okay.
To it said unkind comments. I'm just going to remove that because I'm interested in what these ignorant people are saying. And you know what? I've been out of the closet since I was technically 16. I've been called every word in the book. I've been bullied relentlessly. So you know what? There's nothing you could say in there that will affect me. You know how many times on TikTok alone that I've told that I should take use of the MAID program? If I had a dime for every time I've been told to use MAID, I would actually maybe have $100, but still, it's $100 more than I have now.
I don't know. My parents always told me that there was no door on the closet I came out of, or that it was made of glass.
yeah, Windows. What? Windows.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. So actually, lately, a friend told me this when I wasn't in insult. Actually, I wonder if I can say it on maybe. So the word I want to say is the word accent, and the English word for cigarette put together. That's what I have. If you get the gist.
Oh, the queer accent.
Yes, that's another way of saying it. He used the F word. So supposedly I have that. Well, I mean, you know, I've always used to tell people I sound like a gay Kermit the Frog in a way. But you know, and I've also been told my voice is very sexy. So whatever. But yeah, back to the thing. Showtime. I haven't seen you messaged yet, so I guess you're not coming up. Oh wait, there is a here. Here comes Happy.
Hi, Happy.
Happy.
Hi, Happy.
Oh my gosh, look at the smile. He's happy. That's happy. Okay, that's it. You won.
I'm just giving my son lunch. I'll be right back to chit chat about all the good stuff.
Yeah, no problem.
Hello there.
Hello. Yeah, so basically, just continuing off what Showtime said, and actually other people said too. Pierre Poilievre would definitely 100% in a heartbeat limit people with uteruses rights as well as to us LGBTQ plus rights. And if you do not think he would, then like I said before, you're either really, really ignorant or to the point where you don't care and because it doesn't affect you, which is another level of ignorance. So if you can't imagine voting liberal or being liberal, then that's fine. There are other parties for you to vote too, you know? I mean, this isn't just a conservative versus liberal election, though I know a lot of people are saying it is, but there are other parties who have good chances, like the NDP in some ridings, the Green in some ridings, the PPC in absolutely no ridings.
Hey, Beaver, I'm just wondering, I wanted to ask you this question earlier. Do you think a lot of conservatives, or a fair amount of conservatives, are voting for Carney that were PP supporters?
I do.
Yes.
I do,
Okay.
because though the NDP did lose quite a bit of support, so did the Conservatives. Conservatives at one point I saw were at 46%, and now they're down hovering around 36, 37. So
Yeah.
they've lost at least 10% of their support.
To the liberals, mostly, you figure.
To the Liberals, yes. But the Bloc too has lost support to the Liberals. Actually, every single party has lost support to the Liberals. Let's be honest.
Do you think liberals have lost support much to other parties? No. Ray?
No.
Well,
really,
I think
no.
we still have to wait another day or two to see the polls after
Debates.
the debates. I don't think much movement would have happened because, like, Pierre lied and he was just full of slogans.
Yeah.
Though
I
Singh
forgot
did
the
very
drinking
well.
game.
What was
The
that? Oh,
drinking game for the slogan.
But I think you're right, Beaver. I have never heard of a liberal I've never heard of a liberal voting conservative. Well, no. Yeah, liberal voting conservative. Liberals have not lost much support, really, have they?
I voted for Stephen Harper once.
Oh.
Like, if our relationship is going to go anywhere, it needs to be based on trust, and
Yes.
I need to be forthcoming about some of my previous.
Yeah, I understand. Which election was it, and who was he running against? Ignatieff?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He was so out of touch.
Because I voted NDP that election.
So I voted for Nicole Trammell. So that might have been around the same time.
Yeah.
So that was when just before Tom Mulcair bullied his way in and ruined the NDP.
Yeah. No, actually, I voted one time. The only time I voted NDP was when Layton was around. That's right.
Well, it was just after Leighton passed, and he had his successor that he named was Nicole Trammell. I don't know if you might not remember her.
Yeah, I remember that. And that was just the interim, and then Mulcair took over.
But I think like there was it was kind of shady the way that Mulcair took over. And then
Yeah, I'm not too impressed
like
with him now. Like Beaver was saying earlier, Happy, I don't know if you caught it, but Mulcair's been telling people not to vote NDP now.
yeah. And actually, I've been in NDP since I was 18. I voted in the leadership race for Paul Mulcair, not for Tom Mulcair, but while he was running. And we had rank ballots. He wasn't even in my top three. I know
rank
Peter
ballot
Cullen
system.
was one of them. I forget his name.
Peter
followed him.
Cullen, the guy from BC, the
Yeah.
coastal BC.
Yeah, he
Peter
was one of my
right?
top three.
I
the
like
top,
him.
The top one was I follow him on Facebook now. I don't remember him, but he was like a good friend of Jack Layton. But he was my top choice. Peter Cullen was my second, and there was someone who was my third. Tom Mulcair, I think, was my fourth or fifth.
Peter Cullen's that sort of baldish guy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I liked him. He was good.
yeah.
I think Jug Meat was probably the right direction for the party. I think you know, his accomplishments over the last 4 years, 3 years have, you know, have really galvanized his support of the working class people, of the underrepresented people. And I just think that at this time right now, people are scared to end up in a situation similar to that of the States. And it's driving away a lot of those fence sitters on the left. Like, so people call liberals right of center. And I disagree, of course, because I am me and that's what I'll do. But I find that, you know, alienating people and pushing them aside and creating this little purity, maybe like this perfection, this like need for perfection. You have to be perfect in every aspect of your policies to represent the left. And I think, you know, that's not how politics are, because regardless of who you choose in power, once they attain that position, they need to represent everybody, you know, and it sucks because you see those policies that were anchoring us to the past being pushed forward, regardless, right? And it kind of leaves us powerless to the people, you know, but that's the way 50-50 policy works, you know, 50% for me, 50, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. So do you see Carney as being the one that's more open to everybody's views as opposed to the other leaders?
Exactly my point. And you know, especially when you say that he's one of them, he's a banker, but he's also an environmentalist. He's also a humanitarian. You know, there's a lot, like he's invested in oil in Alberta. So he is pro oil in Alberta. So he brings that to the table as well. It's just he's pro responsible extraction of those oils, which is what they see as a hindrance. You know, being adherent to our laws is what they're seeing as some kind of negative against them.
And he's willing to respect all the other groups, like Indigenous. Like he said he won't put us through a pipeline. He'll talk to people, and if they want it, they want it. They don't, they don't. But PP just wants to push it all through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is that, too, they have to really invest, too, in technology that will make sure they don't leak. I remember when they were building Trans Mountain, anyways, one of the companies who was going to build the pipeline before Trudeau government bought it, they had tons and tons of infractions of pipelines leaking in the States and all that. So I mean, I don't like oil. I know enough that we still have to use the oil for now. But if we're going to do it, like Happy said, we need to do it in a sustainable way, with regulations in place that won't damage the environment. Like we have seen things in the past. Like one of the biggest disasters I remember when I was young was the Exxon Valdez.
Yes.
That was absolutely disgusting.
Yes.
And
which led to a tanker ban off the Pacific coast after that too, right? You know, they messed up. We took action. But I think you're right, Beaver. We need to wean ourselves off of oil, you know, and make the target natural resources. But we have, renewable energy. But we have people like Danielle Smith, where she's banning windmills in certain areas. Well, meanwhile, she can have a coal mine up on a mountain that looks even worse than a windmill, you know. So we have to get past those people too, eh?
And even the UPC supporters that live in that area are against her making that coal mine. So it's not like her, you know, like she's doing what her supporters want. She doesn't care what her supporters want. She just wants. Again, this is not the opinion of Beaver Network, but I kind of feel this is why I call her Dirty Danielle. I think there are some sort of kickbacks I don't know about in the way of money, allegedly. I don't know about money, but there's other ways that politicians can benefit from all these types of laws that they push forward, even if they're unpopular.
So which area are you in, Happy?
I'm in Ottawa.
So you're riding, who's leading in your riding?
I'm in a Liberal stronghold.
Okay.
They presented a PPC candidate this year.
Oh, really?
Well, they've always had one. They just never had one who had the support.
That's what
Wow.
he's getting.
You hear PP's got, what is it, 78? Or what is it, 80 or 78 candidates in his riding, eh?
Is that oh, really?
Yes. Yeah, and one guy registered, like, because I think you only need 100 supporters to be an eligible candidate. I don't know if you guys want to look that up, but I think it's 78 candidates in there. So
Which riding is he in? Do you know the name?
He's in the Peon? Carlton, sorry. Carlton.
Carlton. Yeah, I think it's 78 candidates. So that is going to really split the vote. So if I was PP, I'd be very worried there.
Yeah, most of those guys are going to get 0 votes.
Yeah, but even if
They're not even
one,
going to vote for themselves.
but if you, yeah, I know, but if you take 70 people and they each get 20 or 30 votes, and then you go 70 times 20 or 30, that's 1,500 votes. That could affect the outcome of the riding, couldn't it?
So, like, affect it negatively because nobody will know who the Liberal
Oh.
candidate is. Excuse me.
Like, imagine that ballot when you go to vote. That thing must be huge, eh? Because they have to put everybody on that ballot, right?
Yeah. Well, smartvoting.ca is not showing me. It's just showing me the top 4. And currently, PP has 51%, which an arrow going down by 2%. Liberals have 39% with an arrow going up for 6%. The NDP have 5 and the Green 2. So, I mean, even if the NDP and the Green jump to the Liberals, it won't be enough to beat PP. However, it would give him a good scare. And anyways, I think he's going to be... where did Pasty go?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think if those parties had joined prior to the election, prior to the polling, and announced that they were working together, I think it would have a different output in Poilievre's riding.
Yeah, they're all sitting as independents, actually.
yeah. But I think Pierre is going to be stepping down anyways. I think he's going to lose the election. I don't think he's going to lose his seat, but I think he's going to be, in his concession speech, he's going to say he's going to step down.
Oh,
You know, that's just the
he's
tradition.
done ski.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to ride off like Paul Ryan did. I can't believe he held on for so long. I think they were half expecting this, but then all of a sudden when it happened, they didn't know how to handle it. And all Pierre did yesterday was regurgitate his slogans. Every ad campaign, and he would talk for a minute and a half, and then his opponent would get 15 seconds, and then Pierre would interrupt. And then that was the time that they had allocated for those questions. So, I think it was a joke. I think he looked like a child, and I can't wait to see the Conservatives crying when he loses.
Exactly. Yep.
And they can't keep him in power because the guy lost, 20 points, 30 points, in addition to the points that the Liberals are now ahead. You can't have him in there anymore. They won't win, right?
I don't think so. But Jay Skinny 81 thinks differently. Okay, well, Jay Skinny 81, what are you expecting in the polls next week? Because I don't think many things are going to change. I think the polls are going to stay relatively the same. Because let's be honest, the people who are currently supporting the Liberals are not really prone to the misinformation and the bullshit from the Conservatives. What I do see is if the Conservatives do get a bump up a little bit more, I think more people from the Greens and the NDP are going to jump to the Liberals.
Yes.
That's a
Yes.
solid choice, and I think because of that, they're going to be waiting as well. So typically, when you get these large turnouts, it doesn't favor conservatism. That being said, Trump did kind of change that a bit down south. There was a big turnout, but I don't expect people to continue to support that kind of ideology, seeing as where we are now in Canada compared to where we were.
Happy, do you see a lot of Conservatives, if the polls are like they are now on election day, do you see a lot of them not even voting?
I think some of them are disenfranchised enough, but most of them will vote because they're. I don't want to be a dick, but a lot of them are older, right? Like a lot of conservatives, sit at the 50 and up threshold, and then you have a bunch of red-pilled rednecks underneath them. You know, so it's a very limited selection, right? There's no real growth there. So I see that ideology fading, and this being like the death knell, the gasp for breath from a dying horse or something like that as it fades. You know, that's what I see what's going on right now.
Can
Uncle
you see
Sam.
many conservatives on voting day going liberal?
No, I think they're already disenfranchised, and I don't think, I think they'd rather not vote than vote against, you know, certain things. So they'd probably vote for alternative parties like the PPC or something.
So I just want to address. So Uncle Sags, I think that you are totally wrong. Where the polls are fake. Well, you know what? There are at least 5 or 6 pollsters who have been in the game for at least over a decade, know their stuff, and they've all been projecting that the Liberals will win a majority. Second, Liberals have, yes, Liberals have paid, so do the Conservatives pay pollsters to do polls. That's how they make their money. But they don't influence the polls because they're paying them money. I know that's what you might think, but that's not how pollsters work. They would lose credibility if that's how they worked. And Jay Skinny, he gained ground last night and rescued. No, he didn't gain ground. He just sounded pompous. People knew that they lied. He lied, and you're either on the side of he lied and you'll never support him, or he lied and you just don't care. I don't think he gained ground at all. I think the two people that may have gained a little bit of ground, excuse me, though maybe temporarily, is I think Singh may have gained a little bit of ground, and I think Blanchet may have gained a little bit of ground, but I think it's just going to be temporary. And I think when it comes down to the actual voting, I think those people will actually vote Liberal.
Yeah, I think Blanchet did gain ground because, you know, they were torn between him and Liberals, and the guy always delivers a masterclass in debates because he has nothing to lose, right? So he doesn't hold on to any kind of thing, and he's very straightforward and direct, and I think that works for Quebec.
Yeah,
But I don't
I
think
agree. But I also know that it's more. So with Bloc Québécois voters, voting Bloc Québécois is tied more to their identity. So if I see him, if he does well, like I said, temporarily maybe getting a jump in the polls. But like I said, when it comes down to it, they're going to realize that, you know what, right now we need Liberals. And Aaron, so it's really funny because peer supporters or Conservatives are going to say CBC is Liberal funded, is fake news, spreads lies, is all for the Liberals. But yet when you see something that you agree with, all of a sudden the CBC is legitimate. So you know what? You can take that CBC saying PP1 and just, like, I don't know, blow it out your nose. Because your opinion in that kind of sense is mute. Where did he lie? Well, there's so many lies. First of all, calling the Bill C-69 an anti-pipeline law. It's not an anti-pipeline law. Have you actually read it yourself? I don't think you did. You just probably listened to like some sort of like red-pilled YouTuber who told you that it was anti-pipeline and ran with it. Jagmeet gains any ground, it's coming from Lib votes. Well, I don't see any Conservatives jumping to the NDP, so fine. So you believe CBC doesn't fit? No, that's not what I said, Aaron. I'm just saying that you are the ones who flip-flop on CBC. For me, whatever. You know what? They said PP1. That's good. That's not what I saw. And you know what? I've been political since I was 14 years old. Not saying that I'm an expert, but I at least have a good sense of what I'm talking about. And many people have agreed with me. So anyways, we are almost done time. What time? Yeah, we're almost done time. I don't see Pasty coming back. Pasty still's in there. I hope Pasty didn't drop down because they weren't feeling well. Anyways, Pasty, if you're there, we'll talk after this. But I want to take a few minutes for everyone just to go over, their last thoughts, something that we here at Beaver Network does. So what we can do is we'll start with you, Happy, if you want to, have 2 minutes to give your final thoughts or your final.
Well, I definitely appreciate you and the content you're bringing to this platform. I think it's essential to have a voice for people who speak for underrepresented communities. And therefore, I am quite happy to have you here broadcasting with us. And as we build this network, this team of people, I really hope that the forefront is focused on, human rights and equalities. That being said, I'm not afraid of the WEF or Sustainable Development Goals like a lot of these propagandists seem to be putting forward. So that's my focus in the near future. Going forward, we'll be talking about Sustainable Development Goals and how they're instrumental and necessary for our continued evolution as a planet and a society. So once again, thank you very much, and know that you're appreciated.
Have a great day there, Happy.
All right. Ed, no, you want to say your piece?
No, I've said pretty well all I can, and I just want to say that I'm finding it very frustrating getting on these panels. Sometimes I get on the wrong panels, and there are mega people on there or PP supporters.
Yeah.
And we got to get the network out there, like you said, Happy, to get that combat that disinformation and misinformation.
Yeah.
And you know what? Can I ask you guys a simple question? What's the difference between disinformation and misinformation?
So misinformation is taking like a grain of truth and kind of like curving it away from the truth. Disinformation is an absolute lie that is set out there.
Okay.
That's just basically, that's not the official definition, but that's basically what they are. So like PP doesn't do himself a lot of disinformation. He uses misinformation. So for instance, like saying the Bill C-69 is the anti-pipeline, it's not anti-pipeline. It's just puts barriers in place for before we do all this type of development. So for him, he's saying it's anti-pipeline. It's not anti-pipeline, but it's misinformation because it's not like 100% lie. It's like 99% lie.
And he could construe it as being anti-pipeline because if you don't follow these specific consultations or procedures in there, it's anti-pipeline. That's what
he's saying that if you follow these
it.
procedures, it wouldn't be profitable enough to expand any projects that are ongoing.
Oh, because the consultations and adhering to whatever else other people's concerns would drive the price up too much.
Yeah.
I'd just like to point out in that same breath, we just finished cleaning up barely enough of a spill that happened this year on the Keystone XL and the deteriorating pipelines there. They are absolutely a disaster waiting to happen. So adherence to these policies is essential going forward.
Yeah.
And actually, Julie was right. Disinformation is typically done on purpose, or misinformation cannot be necessarily done on purpose. It can be, but like people spread misinformation all the time, just not knowing it's misinformation. But so just for in closing, I have a couple of things to say. First of all, some people in this, whatever. So we started today. It is the Rainbow Connection, so I do want to just tie things up in that area. So we did talk about how Hungary passed a constitutional amendment to ban pride marches and pride flags, amongst other anti-LGBTQ laws. I'd like to point out again that Hungary is a member of the IDU, which Harper is the chair, and PP is a member of. The UK was also told by the Orange Cheese Puff Mussolini, whatever his name is, that they had to get rid of the LGBTQ protections if they wanted to continue their trade deal. And like I said before, if PP wins, I see him doing that. He doesn't even have to be told by Orange Cheese Puff to get away. I think he would do that anyways. And it's there in his policy declaration anyways. But I just also want to I want to remind everyone that today, advance polls are open in most places, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I think they are open. They're all open today, tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Elbows up. Yep. So go ahead and go to the polls early if you need to, if you can. I don't like waiting in line, so I'm going to go today. Also, you know what? Help people get there. Like, I'm driving my mom to go vote. So if you have a neighbor or a friend or someone that you know that has, first of all, mobility issues, or, doesn't have a car and they have to drive there, or, it's hard to get there, offer them a lift. We're only going to get through this together. And you know what? Offering someone a lift to the polling station is the Canadian way. What else? So I want to remind everyone also that this is a Beaver Network. We have shows every day. I don't have the show list in front of me, but at least twice a day, we do have live shows that you can participate in. And we're also on YouTube. So if you've missed an episode, you could go to YouTube usually within a couple of days. It is uploaded, and you could watch. You could skip to certain points if you want as well. There's something else I wanted to say. I don't remember, but I also want to thank my co-host, Pasty Native, who had to drop for I don't know what reason. I hope everything's okay. But without Pasty Native is such a big contribution to the show. I want to thank him very, very much. And yeah, I want to thank you all for tuning in and sharing and tapping and sending us gifts and subscribing. All that helps, and it just it helps us spread the word. But yeah, so it is now 2:31. I'm going to play us out with some music from Kylie Minogue. I mean, it is a gay LGBTQ show, so Kylie's a big she's a big supporter. So I want to thank everyone again, and take care. Bye-bye.
Cause I can be your heartbeat.